he has been the biggest concern on this team offensively and defensively. You know, like when you just look at
No. Danny Jansen.
who's been worse defensively.
Danny Jansen is so much worse in every regard.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Because Danny Jansen is supposed to be a back catcher.
Yeah.
So all the slack we're giving Cavan Biggio, Danny Jansen gets no slack.
Yeah.
No,
and it's a good point. I mean, the guy's hitting
70.
I know.
For a batting average.
Yeah.
We are not lumping Cavan Biggio in with Danny Jansen.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's the walk-off with Scott Belford and Adam Mack. This ball is crushed.
The left side of this infield has been disastrous defensively. Okay, Bo Bichette and Cavan Biggio have been booting the ball, missing throws, bouncing throws.
It's been every kind of error you can imagine.
It's been ugly, man.
Yeah.
It's been really ugly. And it is a concern, and I know Jays fans are kind of losing their mind a little bit about this. And we talked to Ben Wagner on Tuesday, Sportsnet's Ben Wagner, about this. And he mentioned that when it comes to arm strength, and I agree with him on this, and we were very high on how well Cavan had played third base during spring. Right. For a guy who had almost never played it. He had a few reps under his belt, and they were like halfway through games where they're like, well, Cavan can play anywhere. We can stick him at third. Yeah. And now he's this team's full-time third baseman, and there are no other options. People are screaming to move Vladdy over there. I mean, that's ridiculous. The guy is so dang hot right now. Why mess with success? Mm-hmm. These are the same people that last year were screaming for them to remove Vladdy from third and put him at first. So...
Oh, fans are the worst.
We are the worst. Yeah.
We are the worst.
So let's kind of get into this Biggio situation. Where are you at on Cavan Biggio at third base? Because here's how I'm seeing it.
Okay.
He's gripping the ball extra hard. He is in his own head. I truly don't really believe that this is a... Cavan Biggio isn't talented enough and doesn't have the defensive acumen to play the position. I truly believe he does. I think he's even showed it. Now, he's in his head, and I don't want to say the yips or anything crazy like that, but man, he's gripping that ball tight. He is double thinking every single throw he makes across the diamond, and you watch him do it. He is laboring mentally, dude. I mean, that last throw, did you watch the game against Boston on Wednesday?
I caught the end of it, so I caught everything to do with Cavan that you're about to talk about.
Okay. So in the 8th inning, with 2 outs, Rafael Dolis on the mound, runner at first base, routine ground ball to third base, Cavan completely misses the throw. Bounces it in the dirt, off to the side. They got lucky that it hit the netting where it did and didn't wind up going into the dugout of the Red Sox and costing the Jays what would have been a run and maybe even the game at that point, because it was 4-3 at that point.
Right.
9th inning, Cavan Biggio gets a routine ground ball to third base again. He makes the throw this time, but every fan watching held their breath. And everyone on that field held their breath. And Cavan held his breath. Like, you could just see, like, he had so much time, and he just looked at the ball, and he looked at the first baseman, and he just took a big breath and hucked it. And it was fine. But my God, that doesn't inspire very much confidence.
No, and that's the thing is, like, I think he needed that. Like, he needed... It's one of those, like, get right back on the horse situations.
Yeah.
And so I think that was good for him. You know, especially with the off day. Like, if he ends the night with that horrible throw and then gets a whole day off to think about it, I think it's just going to be in his head that much more. So I'm not going to say he's out of the woods yet because he had one good throw at the end of the game, but I do think that was hopefully, and this is me trying to be a silver lining kind of guy, but after I saw that throw, I was really thinking, boy, did he need that.
Agreed. Agreed. And the team needed that.
Yeah.
That infield needed that. Where are you at on his arm strength? Do you agree with Wagner that he has it? Or do you worry about it a little bit?
Well, I'm not sold on his arm strength.
Yeah.
I'm sold on his fielding ability at third base. I'm not sold on I'm sure we'll get into this too, but Bichette at shortstop. I'm not as confident in Bichette's fielding at shortstop as I am Biggio's fielding at third.
Yes. And I feel similar. The left side of the infield is struggling, man, and I think it's in both of their heads a little bit.
I don't think either of those guys is our shortstop and third baseman of the future.
That's fair.
I mean,
Well, listen, there's two angles on this, right? There's the angle of you let Bichette play shortstop until he has proven over a year or two that it just can't be done. Yep. And I mean, some people bring up Marcus Semien, and it's a good comparison because defensively, he was just a bad shortstop for a few years before he kind of put it together there. Now, the other argument is, and this is how I'm kind of personally feeling, and we'll see what side of this you're on.
Okay.
The Blue Jays are in a very different spot than the Oakland Athletics were when they were giving Marcus Semien all the time in the world for him to develop at shortstop.
Yep.
The Athletics were not a winning team at the time. They were not putting a very good product on the field, and they were kind of in one of those rebuild modes they get in sometimes where they're
casual,
letting their young players get the reps they needed. They were where the Blue Jays are 2 years ago when they were doing this with Semien.
Yeah. Here's my thing with Biggio again before we get too distracted on Bichette is I think you can learn to play defensively. I don't think you can learn to have a stronger arm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at with both of those guys. I think I'm not at all upset with Biggio at third base because he doesn't even he's not asking for third.
It's not his fault that they're playing him at every position. It's not his fault that they looked at this lineup during the offseason and said, you know what? We don't need to strengthen the left side of this infield. We'll just move Biggio to third. Yeah. That is not his fault.
No.
And he has done everything management has asked him. And it's one of those things where I truly believe his bat is ice cold because of his defensive switch here. He is so in his own head about third base that it is literally taken the bat out of his hand.
Yeah, because, I mean, look at the exact opposite being true with Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah.
He is looking so good at first base, and it has given nothing but helped his offensive performance. So
exactly.
I don't think either guy is the guy of the future. I think Biggio will be there until something else comes along. I think he'll be there all year. I think Bichette will be at shortstop all year. But I think Biggio is either going to be an outfielder, like an everyday outfielder on this team, or he's going to not have a spot on this team. As much as the versatility is so nice.
Yeah.
I can't see us having a guy who is just versatile.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just unless he can,
especially if he doesn't start hitting again. I mean, I think Cavan will start hitting, and I think he will start taking walks again. And I think he is going to find his swing. And Cavan Biggio, I feel like I know what he is offensively, and I could be wrong, but I think he's a guy who hits around 240, 250 average, 350 on base percentage, takes a lot of walks, knows how to do everything with the bat, puts the bat on the ball, can lay down a bunt, should be hitting in that 8 or 9 hole. Yep. Looking to turn the lineup over. He's like a secondary leadoff guy at the end of that.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel so much better about his role with the team if he is a right fielder who can play in the infield as opposed to whatever the fuck he is right now. Excuse me.
And but no, you're right though. And there's no room for him in the outfield. So now he's kind of pigeonholed into this spot that he is not used to, still improving at.
Look,
isn't very good at right now.
Look, the Blue Jays are going to add pieces this offseason.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
I mean, when they signed Springer, they told him, like, that was part of the deal of him coming here was, look, we are not going to turn off the tap after we sign you. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a methodical process. We're going to do things smart. But there's no way they can address that infield this offseason. I mean, Simeon's gone. Maybe they re-sign him. Sure. But there's going to be a lot of shortstops out there.
There are.
There's going to be... I mean, Chris Bryant looks pretty good for the Cubs right now, and the Cubs are a dumpster fire.
Yep.
That would be an improvement at third base.
Sure would. Would take some money to do that, but... And, I mean, we are at 144 games left.
Yeah.
This is all going to play itself out, and we're going to have a clear picture. Like, this is all stipulation and what if and how does this season play out. And, you know, obviously, I truly don't believe the left field or the left side of this infield is going to be as bad as it has been. I kind of am at the point where I'm like, it can't be.
It can't be. Statistically,
how can it get worse? These are professional ball players. It can't get worse than this. And if it does, I think we're going to see Santiago Espinal in at third base. I think that's just going to be what happens.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is he's better defensively than Cavan Biggio at third base. And
with the way Cavan's hitting, he's better offensively right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, again, I hope something works out for Cavan. I love Cavan Biggio.
Me too. And we've been high on him since we started this podcast almost a year ago. Yeah. Like, he's a guy that we both have constantly touted how versatile he is. And we'll move on from Cavan here. But he has been the biggest concern on this team offensively and defensively. You know, like when you just look at...
No. Danny Jansen.
Who's been worse defensively?
Danny Jansen is so much worse in every regard.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Because Danny Jansen is supposed to be a bat catcher.
Yeah.
So all the slack we're giving Cavan Biggio, Danny Jansen gets no slack.
Yeah.
No,
and it's a good point. I mean, the guy's hitting
70.
I know.
For a batting average.
Yeah.
We are not lumping Cavan Biggio in with Danny Jansen.
No, you're right. You're right. Catching is a big question mark on this team.
Yeah.
It's a very serious concern. It's an actual concern.
Yeah. Very concerned. I mean, he can't throw anybody out. Those fly balls that go straight up. We just watched one against the Red Sox. He lost it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's struggling. That's for sure. I don't know how long they run with him. Like, this is one of those things where you're like, how much rope do they give Danny Jansen? Because they've been giving him rope since 2018.
Yes.
Like,
the only terrible answer to that is, what else do they have?
Mm-hmm. No, it's true.
I mean, a catcher that they got for cash in trade?
Yeah.
Ugh.